Okay, good evening and welcome back to Black Tech Queens on Flags 365. My name's Karimah Campbell and today I'm going to be joined by another amazing tech queen. So for those of you who are new to Black Tech Queens, let me share our vision with you. It's all about inspiring each other and our future talent, helping to achieve our aspirations, and really recognizing and celebrating our achievements. But remember, it's not only for Black Tech Queens, so don't let the name fool you. We want everyone to be involved. We really want to build out our community of allies because ultimately, the more people that we can get in the community, the further we can go together. And so you know how to build the community. You've watched the videos in the past. Let's share the videos, share the page, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and also follow us on social media at Black Tech Queens on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook too. All right, so what's happened since we were last together? Well, the e-discovery and compliance conference that I was emceeing went live. That was on the 18th and 19th of May. And if I do say so myself, it went really well. And I was really impressed by the fact that we did an inclusion, diversity and belonging track. So we spoke about allyship and what it means to be an active ally. We spoke about mental health and why it's important that you look after your mental health, and also how to recruit and retain diverse talent. And off the back of that, Black Tech Queens and Technology will be partnering to put out an active allyship in technology guide. So watch this space, that's going to be coming soon. I also became an I Am Remarkable facilitator. And so for those of you who don't know, I Am Remarkable is a Google initiative which is aimed at helping those from underrepresented groups to develop their confidence and to promote themselves both in the workplace and in their professional lives. And so I've personally found this a great way of challenging imposter syndrome. And Black Tech Queens will be including this in our workshops, which will be launching soon as well. And these workshops will be all about helping people to transition into the world of tech. But once again, keep an eye on our socials for all of that information that's going to be coming your way soon. Okay, so today's guest. When I first connected with her, it was a few months ago, and I'm going to quote exactly what she said back to me. She said, "I'm new to the world of tech, but I'm really enjoying it so far." And it was really just refreshing to see another Black woman entering the industry. And so I am happy to be joined by the finance specialist, finance coach, business consultant, co-founder of MyBfd, and a Black Tech Queen, Krystle McGilvery. So welcome to the show, Krystle.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. I seriously appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for joining us. It is really appreciated. So let's just jump straight in. Can you tell us who is Krystle?
Yeah, sure. I do lots of things, but most of them are in the space of finance, education, empowerment, helping people feel comfortable with finance to, build their personal, wealth, or if they're starting a business, really feel comfortable with that journey and having the basis, the foundation set. By profession, I'm a chartered accountant. I am a finance educator. I'm also a property investor. And more recently, which is where I guess we connected, I have founded a tech company, which is initially a mobile app, but also a web-based version, which is all about providing finance education. That's a summary.
Oh, thank you. So let's jump right back to the beginning then. What got you into the accountancy world?
Yeah, it's funny. At school, I was good at maths, a teacher took a shine to me when I was like 14 and was like, you're great. And I was like, okay. So I just focused on that. But I also like drama. So when I got to the end of school, it was like, what do I do? Drama or maths? And having a mother who wants me to pursue the professional route, she was like, go into science or maths. That's the space for you. So I did a maths degree, said throughout the whole degree that I'm never going to be an accountant, fell straight into it. And I think, again, from my mother and what she's taught me, I'm very determined. So I aggressively got qualified, jumped the ladder, and, pay rises were great alongside. And yeah, so I was doing that for 10 years.
Oh, cool. So did you manage to work any of your drama into your accountancy life?
I didn't. I think what I did is I did, short drama courses on the side, like Anna Shears and here and there, and did little programs, just so I was in it. And I'm still doing that today, actually.
Oh, cool. Hopefully we'll get a little play at the end of this.
Not sure about that.
Cool. So you mentioned that you do financial education. And with MyBfd, a big aim of it is educating through your app as well. But I guess the question is, why do you feel that knowledge and education is just so important, especially around finance?
I think it comes from my personal journey and what I've witnessed. I think growing up in a single parent home, mom was self-employed, so she's never worked for somebody. And she's always been on the breadline. She's always just about been okay. And as I got older, I saw that struggle. But then me pursuing a career in accountancy and finance and becoming really savvy and buying my first property quite early, first amongst all my friends. And I was teaching maths privately on the side, and I have done since I was 18 until now. I think I became very aware of the stark contrast between the professional world that I was in and my family, my close network, and the state of their finances. And I remember when I bought my first property, don't really know what I'm doing, and straight away I had to change the electrics in the whole entire property, get a brand new boiler, and we're talking about £7,000 that I didn't expect to spend. And just before I bought my property, a family member had wanted to borrow a few £1,000s. And I said, yeah, sure, because they were going to give it back to me at the end of the month. They didn't. So that, and having to pay an extra £8,000 on my property, if you can imagine, I was pretty angry. And I think that was a really pivotal point in my career, I guess, because I was really angry. And then I was like, all right, pause. What's going on here? This keeps happening. People around you keep making severe financial mistakes, not managing their money properly. So I literally dived deep into financial literacy, did lots of research, understood that it's a global issue. It's not just over here. It's not just, my mum, my family. It's common. And then I just started helping people, doing sessions, working with people one-on-one for free. And then eventually I was like, this is where I need to be. This is what I care about. If I can help people, and I have been, seeing the transformation they're going through, this is the space. And that's where it came from, really.
Oh, cool. That's good. And you just struck a nerve with me because during last year, at like the beginning of the pandemic, I bought an auction property and I had to rewire the whole place. And so I know the pain right there.
Yeah, it's painful. The unexpected cost is, yeah.
Exactly. No, cool. So with your finance education that you're doing, understanding that you it's a wider issue than just your immediate circle, is that one of the reasons why you, I guess, with MyBfd decided to go virtual with it and use technology?
Yeah, totally. So my business partner is pretty amazing. He's successful in his own right. He's got several businesses and has been doing that for over 20 years. And he's kind of had been on my back for like 4 or 5 years. Krystle, you need to do something with this. Like, what you're about, your values, how you work, you need to make it bigger. But it was a totally different model, a totally different space that I was unfamiliar with. So we came together, and it was like trying to brainstorm, how are we going to do this? Sure, we could do physical in-person events, but that's not really reaching as many people as I would love to reach. And he was like, it has to be an app. And I'm like, why didn't I think of that? And especially the audience that this is initially for, not limited to, but initially social housing residents, purely because where I come from, that's my background. And, you know, there's been studies to support, you know, providing financial literacy just makes a huge difference in people's ability to save, manage money, and, you know, social mobility. So, yeah, that's where the idea to make it an app and now a web-based version for those who struggle and may not be able to get it on their mobile but could go to the local library came from.
No, and that was, I was going to ask you, obviously, if you're in financial difficulty, you might not have a mobile access to the internet, but valid point, their library still exists.
Exactly, yeah. And, you know, we're even in talks about, you know, if you think about it, so that social housing providers, so they would have maybe parts of a certain area that they have their properties. We're even thinking about providing the network connection if some people don't have that. But most libraries, you know, we're looking further into that. You can use some libraries for free. And then, you know, later on, thinking about languages. There are many people who don't speak English, but, you know, it's initially in English. So, yeah, just trying to, you know, as we go through the process, develop the app and the program more to help more people.
Cool. No, that's really good. So the majority of your life has been spent in the finance and accountancy world. How has things changed since you've entered the tech realm?
So, good question. I was working in private companies, so I wasn't working in accountancy firms. So most of my jobs were in, say, advertising, PR, or IT companies, actually, where I sat behind a computer screen on my Excel and just plodded away. And I had my set job to do, which, you know, with accountants, it works in monthly cycles. Pretty straightforward, not much excitement, not much change. But now coming out of that, there was a 1.5-year gap where I traveled, but diving into developing this app and understanding the whole space that I'm now in. I think I said to you, I didn't realize I was a tech company until actually, oh, yes, you are. You have an app. It's totally different. I see that it's forever evolving. I feel I'm never short on new things to learn, especially as I don't know coding or anything like that. And I think we spoke as well about, you know, terminology, and it's exciting. I do like it. I love learning, hence why I'm in education. But yeah, there's just so much to learn, such, you know, great people to connect with, and just great opportunities for collaboration, I think.
Yeah, good. And I'm sure there must be some transferable skills that you've built over the time that's really helped with this transition into being a tech company.
Yeah, totally. And I did, you know, things like Prince 2 and stuff like that. So there's lots of the formalities, the structure, and the way you think about things, the logic behind it, that I think really helps and plays a large part in me getting my teeth into this area.
Yeah, no, cool. Is there anything that you are sitting there now thinking, I really need to learn this to help the business push forward and just to help me grow as a person?
I think, and this may come from a space of imposter syndrome or something of the like, but I would love to learn more about the process of developing an app. You know, the whole system behind it. I think it would give me more confidence to make sure I've dotted the I's and crossed the T's. But I'm not going to dive much into the code in that side. More the bigger picture of what's required to bring, you know, an app to the table, really.
And I can see how understanding, not going into too much detail in them, but understanding the holistic view of it would help when you're not only working out what to do next, but also when you're selling the app to the local authorities and the other companies who would be buying it.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, depending on who I come up against and who I'm talking to, it's like in any space, it's good to have a basic foundation knowledge. you know, to be able to articulate various parts of what we're doing in case you meet with somebody who knows all about it and you're there with no knowledge whatsoever. You look a bit silly. So yeah, the fundamentals is key, I think.
Yeah. All right. So jumping into all of the other activities that you're doing. So I looked on your website. Obviously, we've spoken a bit, and I've seen, what is it? You've got your radio show. You are a trustee of a charity, which is amazing, and all of your education stuff, your tutoring, your mentoring, all of that. There's only 24 hours in a day, Krystle.
Yeah. It's a job. It's so I think this is what happens when you're working or you're in line with your passion. It's not a problem. I think two ways. I've had to learn how to manage my time and have self-care and allow myself to just be and pause. I don't know if you've seen, this is really random, American Psycho.
Yeah.
So I love that one. With Christian Bell, he's called Mr. Bateman. I call myself Mr. Bateman when I get into a space of I'm really serious and I'm very rigid and logical. And I'm just knocking out the work and I'm really focused, which is great for performance, getting to where you want to get to. I get into my flow. Don't know if you've heard about this term in the business and sports space. But it's just when you're in it and you're just going, you're producing, and it's a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
But if that goes on for too long, I crash and burn. And that has happened a couple of times where in the last year, where I literally cannot work for, say, at least 5 days. I just cannot work. The thought of it brings about anxiety and stress, and I just have to stop. So I've now definitely got a routine where, for example, every Sunday I don't touch my laptop at all. And, you know, trying to cut off at the end of the day at a decent time. Because, like I said, what I'm doing, everything is filled with passion. You know, it starts from there. You know, yes, of course, MyBfd is a profit-making company, but fundamentally it has a social impact. But I'm just, you know, trying to juggle that and maintain the balance. I think the key is in being strict on the days and times that it's just for me.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm reading, I don't know if you've read The One Thing. He talks about focusing on one thing in the day and just, you know, as long as you can tick that off, then you've been a success, as opposed to trying to go through your 100 long, you know, checklist.
Yeah.
And he says, instead of finding balance, it's about counterbalance. So some things will have to give whilst you go, you know, really hard at one thing, but then you come back. Yeah.
Just before this call, I was literally going through my to-do list and I was like, oh my God, there's still so much to do. So I'm going to take that on board and just really find a priority and focus on making sure that's out the door, then the other things will come.
Have you heard of Ansoff, I think it's Ansoff, matrix?
No, but educate me.
It's basically where you create like a grid where it's important and urgent, and you split it into 4. And you literally take your to-do list and write them into the correct of the 4 spaces. So if something is not very important and not very urgent, you pop it in the lower corner. And if something is very important and very urgent, top right-hand corner. And you do that. And there was a time where I was trying to get out of my little, you know, burnout, where I did that every day. And every day it would highlight those tasks that I have to get done now. Everything else, another day. And it just helps you like weed through that massive list and still feel like a success, although you haven't done everything.
But do you add to it through the day, or is it just you do it at one point and then you're not allowed to add to it anymore?
Yeah, and I also, to help with that, at the end of the day, I kind of write my list for the next day.
Okay.
So I know what is on my agenda for the next day. And obviously, if things come up, you make a note, but that will go into your list for the end of the day to do the next day. It's just a way of staying in control, so it's not in your head, stressing you out, you know, constantly, because you've got it on paper.
No, that's a good shout. And I was at work recently. We had a session, and it was talking about, once again, looking after your mental health, trying to avoid burnout and things. And someone raised such a valid point. You know, as you mentioned, those days when you're on your flow and everything's going great. But then we also have crap days, and just understanding, I'm going to log off early today. I'm not productive. There's nothing I can do, no matter how long I'm sitting in front of my laptop trying to get work out. Nothing productive is going to come from it. So just switch off, start again another day.
And it's okay. You're human. You are human. You are a being who has more things going on in their body and their mind than just this work that you have to do. Self-care is just equally as important. So yeah, good point.
Especially in this current climate. But that's a different story.
Yeah.
So just going on to your successes and achievements now. So we met through the TLA Black Women in Tech Voices in the Shadows book nomination. So congrats on being nominated for that.
Yes.
So I think that's a great achievement. It's a great initiative as well, really getting our stories out there to younger women who are up and coming and trying to break into tech. But tell me, what's one of your greatest achievements to date?
One of my greatest achievements. I mean, I could say something like, it's not the greatest, no. Something like being featured in the Telegraph was quite nice. I was proud. But I think I can't steer away with my achievements lying in how I help people. So the work I do one-on-one, I literally, would work with someone and meet with them every week and help them build out a finance plan, help them create a plan for, repaying their debts. And I think this is really nerdy and I'm aware, but I get so excited seeing them excited that actually I can clear my debts in 6 months when I thought it would have to take me 3 years. That realization is life-changing because one, they're going to save so much money because, the sooner you pay it off is, you save on the interest, for example, but then it lifts the weight off of someone's shoulder instantly when they can see that, that path. I think that has to be my greatest achievements, just doing that and just seeing that, because it's why I do this stuff.
Lovely, and I can't even begin to imagine how nice that must be, seeing like the people knowing that they've got the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're helping to guide them along that path. So that is really nice.
Yeah, I've become like this proud. I don't have any kids, but I've become this proud mother, regardless the age of the person I'm working with or this auntie. Like, yes, give me a hug.
No, cool. All right, so I put some questions, or I put the opportunity out on our Instagram for people to be able to send in some questions that they have for you. So I'll let you know some of the questions that we've got from our community. So the first is, have you ever had someone try to stop you from learning or advancing in your professional life?
It's an interesting question. Possibly. When I instantly think of it, I think of someone obstructing my ability to go and get a qualification, which I haven't had. But thinking of one of my jobs, I was working in quite a senior finance role and my boss was the owner of the company, or one of the owners. And it got to a point where I felt like I wasn't allowed to go any further in terms of learning about operations of the business and strategy for that particular company, because it seemed like she maybe, and this is from external observation, I'm always shy to admit such things, but she may have felt threatened by my position. I would obviously add here that I was one of 2 Black people in a company of 70 odd. And that's also another conversation, which, stats and data and my role being really important. Anyway, but that would be one. And I think the other, which I realized was kind of happening, is I am thinking about doing a PhD in behavioral economics. Because I did a course on neurofinance the other day, and it was absolutely amazing, which links into the app and the AI and stuff I'd like to build in. But I'm definitely doing a master's in it. But when I've spoken to people about me doing a PhD, I've had quite a lot of pushback.
Why?
I don't know. I've had you know, whether it's other successful women or mainly actually kind of saying, do you need to do that? And it's, well, it's what I want to do, and my path and what I want to get to, that is kind of required. So that I found really interesting. And I think that goes back to the conversations that I'm sure many people have had about who your people are and who you have around you. And you should have people around you that are supporting you and pushing you to go and be amazing. And the people that have said that aren't those people. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I'd say I've experienced that.
Do you know, as part of that I Am Remarkable workshop that I mentioned earlier, one of the things that we explore is how difficult, I guess, how much more pressure you put on people who have the same background as you. So women put in a lot more pressure and judgment on other women who are up and coming and who are successful, and just kind of looking back at your insecurities and how you're portraying, how you're projecting that onto other people. So
yeah, and I think, tell me if this is what you mean, but to me that sounds like it's an insecurity within.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you're, you know, questioning or not accepting somebody else's dreams to go and be big and amazing in whatever space that is, which is understandable. I get it. But I think for someone who has experienced that, like the example I just gave, it's for me to pause and realize that that's what's happening. It's not a personal attack. It's not about me at all. And be strong enough to still go for it.
Yeah. Well, I'll be more than happy to call Dr. McGilvery. I look forward to it.
Thank you.
You mentioned that in that company you were there were 2 Black people out of the 70 odd. Why do you think that was?
This question, big question. I think so many things. Companies tend to hire their own. You know, they tend to hire people who look like them, are from the same background, the same type of university. It can be very cliquey, especially in certain industries. And then I think when it comes to hiring, sometimes the hiring happens for the sake of ticking a box. Or sometimes, you know, not taking away the fact that I was good at my job. Sure, I was. But looking at the rest of the company, the fact that the other, 68 or so, were all exactly the same, except some were men and some were women. You know, they all come from the same space. So I think it's partly to do with that. And it's funny, I was on an event this morning talking about, you know, giving out your CV and whether you should put a picture on it. We have bias in your name. People pick and choose depending on that. So it's easy to filter through and choose, okay, these people have names like me, so I'll interview them. And there's that restriction, which is unfortunate.
On that point about CVs and like your names, I will never forget a friend of mine. I won't say his name, but his name was a very, I guess, traditionally white name. And he actually went to an interview, and when he came in, they said, "Oh, you're Black."
They actually said that.
He said that out loud.
It shocked me, and I guess I don't think I've experienced as much overt racism as many of my peers, but when I have, and it's clear, it hurts. I remember where I lived was a pretty white area, and I think I sent my CV via internet or something. But again, my name is McGilvery, sure. And I came in, you know, on the phone, they had a conversation. Oh, your CV's great. I mean, obviously, you can do everything. You know, it was working in a shop, like a sweet shop or something, really basic. It's many years ago. Oh, you can do it. Obviously, I love your CV. You sound really intelligent, you know. But you have to come in because my boss will just be a bit annoyed if I didn't meet you. So I basically got the job, right? Yeah. I went in and straight away, she was mortified. Her face was like, you're Krystle McGilvery. I was like, yeah. Oh, the interview was like 4 minutes and she sent me away and never heard from her again. I can't think of any other reason.
That's just, I don't even know.
But yeah,
things do begin to change when it comes to that. And I know a lot of companies are doing like blind reviews. So they're taking the name off. Yeah. We shouldn't have to do that, but hopefully just seeing the difference and the unconscious biases that are associated associated with that will make people check themselves and think that let's do this differently. But on to another question from the community. So if you could do any other job, what would it be? Apart from drama. You mentioned drama earlier, so I'm going to mention
drama. Another, I also draw.
Oh.
So I'd love to have just in my own huge studio where I could explore different mediums, paint, acrylic and pencil and charcoal, and just spend my time in my little French hat just drawing. So yeah, I draw now, and I do commissions, so I do pieces. But yeah, I think that would be it.
What kind of stuff do you draw?
I draw people, so I like drawing faces.
Oh, cool.
I also do abstract art, which is all a bit random, but mainly, yeah, I like the lightness that I bring about in the portraits. Yeah.
We've got a couple of projects coming out soon, so I'll talk to you separately about that. Because
yes, do.
we're illustrators, and so we could possibly, hopefully, use you.
That's exciting.
Okay. And then with your financial education and your knowledge, what's one piece of financial advice that you'd give to the community?
I think looking at the people I work with and the conversations I have, and this is, I don't think we've even mentioned it, but everything I do in terms of finance, I start with kind of self-reflection, looking at your mind, understanding who you are, being honest with yourself, you know, identifying your habits, your behaviors, your belief systems, your money story, all of this self-reflection stuff before we even start talking about numbers. And what I find is a lot of people that I guess gravitate towards me is because that's the challenge they've identified that needs some help. They have bad habits, they tend to do this, tend to do that, and they don't know how to get out of it, or they're embarrassed that, you know, they say they're crap with money, which I don't believe is a thing. It's more you have a belief system and you're just living by that. So I think normally when I give one piece of advice, it's to be honest with yourself and do an audit, you know, understand where your money is going, what you're doing, what you want, where you want to get to, and just being really clear about that vision. Because then when it comes to making financial decisions, you know what you need to do and why you're doing it, and that provides the support you need. Otherwise, other than, you know, I've had some people saying they're saving or whatever, and they don't know what they're saving for, so then they spend it, and it's all a bit loose. But I think starting with the foundations of self-reflection, understanding what you want, then you can build on that.
I love that. Thank you. That's really helpful. I'm gonna take that on board myself and share it with everybody, because I think regardless of your financial situation, that's a piece. That's something that everyone needs to remember.
Yeah, and I think once you've started to look at yourself in that way, your eyes are then open differently, and you're more willing to take on and learn and seek that help, whether it's asking somebody a question or how to do X, Y, Z. You're more open because you know where you want to get to, and you know where you are currently. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so what's next for you, Krystle?
So what's next? I think I'm spending more time on MyBfd, of course. The app is not yet ready, but it should be ready in the next couple of weeks. We are bringing on clients, so people are signing up, ready to go. So that's exciting, and I'm sure my life will completely change once that's full throttle. Like I mentioned, hopefully I'll be starting a master's in September, fingers crossed. And then that means I'll have to drop off some of the other stuff because that'll be too much. And I think because I'll be so into doing my master's, the coaching that I do one-on-one, I might have to somehow tweak that, or it might just be I do less, because I still want to help people. I don't want to take out a whole year and not do that. But I guess something different in that space, whether I take it online. Yeah.
Cool. And so with MyBfd, at the moment, if some say the average Joe wanted to get access to it, once it launches, how would they go about that?
Well, at the moment, it's a B2B2C product. So we work with companies, and then they provide the app to their customers, their audience. So social housing associations would give it to all their tenants. That's the model at the minute, but I totally want to get it out to people, B2C. And there are various projects we're doing, you know, whether we have physical spaces or make it openly available online, but that's not the first phase. But as soon as it is, I will totally be telling everybody yes.
What we need to do right now, if you want access, talk to the businesses around us, so talk to the housing association if they don't already have it. Tell them, oh, you need this app, and then
seriously. And I don't think I even described it very well to you, but the app, on one hand, it provides finance education, so it takes you through a program. You know, there's videos, there's quiz questions, there's activities to get you to practice what you're learning. But as you progress through the course, you earn rewards, whether it's a discount or money off voucher for your local groceries or cinema tickets. So we're partnering with different organizations to give that for free. So as an incentive, direct financial incentive for you to kind of go through the course, because you'll get something out of it continuously. So yeah, ideally you can get it to people one-on-one.
Cool. And then saving the money on those like on cinema tickets and stuff.
Exactly.
So yeah. Oh, fantastic. Cool. All right. Sorry. So one thing that I do ask all of my guests is if you could is there any advice that you'd give to somebody who's trying to break into technology or trying to further their career?
Yeah, I think what's really helped me, and I guess this is partly to do with us connecting, is connecting with people. LinkedIn is pretty amazing, and I think I've recently started talking more on LinkedIn, just talking about what I'm doing, what I'm interested in, or sharing useful information. I know that other people do exactly the same thing. And it's, I think, reaching out to people and sharing your interests, or, you know, identifying people who have similar interests or in a place where you want to be, and just having those talks, because then you never know where that could lead to. And it's funny, I think I did a post on this the other day, but talking about your circle and the people you have around you, because that will just put you in new spaces and allow you to get closer and closer to where you're trying to get to. So like with someone like me who's not from the tech space initially, I'm getting more into it and I'm being invited to things, participating in projects or initiatives and events, and it's all improving my knowledge and making me feel much more confident in the space, which I need.
Oh, good. And so if someone's just, I guess, more of an introvert and doesn't feel comfortable necessarily reaching out to people to build out their network, do you have any advice for them as to how they could do it?
Maybe just start going to online events. Keep your camera off if you can. Check out, it's funny, I was on Meetup just, I think, yesterday evening. I was like, I haven't been on Meetup for a while, but Meetup, Eventbrite, if you can even attend events and just sit in the background and just see people talking, a lot of them are really inviting. You know, they might have like an icebreaker in the beginning where you just kind of pop in the chat, you know, the answer to the question, you know, favorite food or whatever it may be, and get yourself more comfortable, or you'd get more comfortable being around people and communicating with different people, because that's what's needed. You need to collaborate with people who are not like you. And I think, is it Paul C. Brunson? I don't know if you know him, but he's pretty amazing. He speaks about when you're in a meeting or an event, make sure you type in the chat, hi, I'm such and such, this is what I do, feel free to connect, or something, because you exist and you are amazing for your uniqueness alone, and other people need to hear about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And again, you can do that with your camera off if that's what you want. But as you do that more and more, you get more comfortable and connect with people.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're putting that into like the chat, if people don't want to speak to you, they won't respond. You're not losing anything out there.
Nothing happens, and then the conversation closes and it's gone.
Exactly. Nothing from your nose. No, cool. All right. So it does look like we have to start wrapping it up now. But is there any last points that you want to share with the Black Tech Queen community?
I don't know. I mean, it's lovely talking to you. I think we've touched on some amazing points, especially about people kind of diving into the space and realizing there are great groups and organizations like yourself that are for people who are like you to connect and learn and, you know, improve awareness, I think. And on the finance side, like I said, I think being honest, reflecting, reaching out to people. And I think more and more in the space, I don't know, if you're on Instagram or YouTube, you'll see there's much more people doing and talking about finance, if that's your area that you think needs attention. So just find somebody that you resonate with, whether it's another Black woman, whether it's a Black male, or whatever it may be. A lot of people are really happy to be approached. And you can say, I'm nervous, I'm shy, I don't know. And, the right person will respond and give you back the same energy that you need. And I think that's key to help you go through that transition.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much. And so everybody, we're going to have, well, in the description, you can see Krystle's, the links to her website and all of her social media as well. And if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them into the comments and we'll get back to you. And remember to follow us on our Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Black Tech Queens to keep up to date with all of the latest content. Make sure that you rewatch this episode and all of the other ones, because there's truly some gems that have been dropped. And I think there's a lot that we can all learn from each other. But most importantly, let's remember to always inspire, aspire, and achieve. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Take care.